Today we're going to look at adding mixed numbers using a model, and we're going to use Hershey chocolate bars as our model. So when you buy a Hershey bar at the store and you open it up, you will notice that one bar is made up of 12 smaller pieces of chocolate. So we're going to use the denominator 12 today because a Hershey bar has 12 pieces, and we want to stick with common denominators while we're learning to add mixed numbers. Because we know when we add fractions, we must start with common denominators. We must start with a common denominator in order to get an accurate answer. So let's look at this first picture where we have two entire candy bars. So I have a whole one here and a whole one here. So I have two candy bars there, but I have these three pieces left over here. And I'm going to write that in fraction form. And we said we're going to use the denominator of 12 because a candy bar is made up of 12 pieces. So I have 3 of the 12 pieces to make a whole candy bar. So in this first image, I have 3/12 of a whole candy bar and 2 whole candy bars. In this second image, I have 1 whole candy bar here. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. So I have my whole candy bar and I have 6 out of 12 to make my fractional pieces. So I can look at this image now and I can put these pieces together to see how much or how many Hershey bars I have all together. So when I look at this, I have 1, 2, 3. 2 plus 1 is 3 complete candy bars. And when I look at my fractional pieces, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9 out of the 12 pieces it takes to make a whole candy bar. And 6 plus 3 is 9. So I get the fraction or the mixed number 3 and 9/12. Now I need to look at that carefully and recognize that 9/12 is a fraction that can be simplified. So I'm going to think to myself, what number will go into 9 and 12? Or another way to think about that is, what is a factor that 9 and 12 share? And the answer to that is 3. So I'm going to divide the 9 and the 12 both by 3. And my new answer is 3. And 9 divided by 3 is 3. And 12 divided by 3 is 4. So I have 3 3/4 of a complete candy bar. All right. So now I'm going to look at this next page. And we're going to look at a situation where I end up with pieces that the small pieces that I put together, but I actually end up with more than a whole candy bar when I'm done with that. And what do we do with those numbers? So let's start by writing our mixed number for this first one. I have 1 whole candy bar here. So I have this whole piece here, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 12 pieces here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have 1 whole and 6 out of 12 pieces. And I'm going to look at my second candy bar, and I have 2 complete candy bars, 1 here, 1 here. So I have a 2 there, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 12 pieces. So my 2 mixed numbers I'm dealing with right now are 1 and 6/12 and 2 and 8/12. So we're going to follow the same steps as before, and I'm going to put my whole numbers together. So I'm going to add my 1 plus my 2, and that equals 3. And then I'm going to put my partial candy bars together. So I have 6/12 and 8/12. So I have 1, 2, 3. Let's get my marker working here again. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 8 plus 6 is 14, so I have 14 out of 12 pieces. So let's put those together, and I have 3 and 14 twelfths. But this is different. Something is different about this fraction. And what I'm looking at is a fraction where my numerator is larger than my denominator. Another way to think about that is a fraction whose value is more than 1. And you can kind of imagine that with this image. If I were to take these 6 pieces over here, let's get a highlighter here for a second. If I were to take these 6 pieces and try to fill them in right here, they would fill in, but they would fill in too much. There would be this part over here that sticks out below the candy bar. It would make a complete candy bar, but there would be leftover or chocolate that sticks out. So it's more than one whole candy bar. So I'm going to look at see how we can fix that. So in order to change an improper fraction to a mixed number, we have to divide. Let's move this up a little bit so I have some workspace. So I'm going to take my 14 twelfths, and I'm going to say 14 divided by 12. And we know 12 goes into 14 one time. 1 times 12 is 12, with a remainder of 2. So I have one whole candy bar I'm able to make, which we can see in our picture up here. I was able to make this one whole candy bar here, but I have this extra part sticking out. And that extra part sticking out, I have 2 pieces left over out of the 12 I need to make a whole candy bar. So I have 1 and 2 twelfths. I've got this 3 here I haven't dealt with. So we're going to add again. We're going to add my 3 that I haven't dealt with plus what was my improper fraction, which is now a mixed number. I'm going to add those together. 1 plus 3 is 4, and I have the 2 twelfths. My final step is always to simplify. So I'm going to look at that 2 twelfths and ask myself, is there a number that will go into 2 and 12? Or is there a common factor for 2 and 12? And we know that there is. 2 goes into 2, and 2 goes into 12. So my final answer is going to be 2 divided by 2 is 1, 12 divided by 2 is 6, 4 and 1/6 is my final answer for this image right here. And that kind of makes sense when we've drawn it out. I have this whole candy bar here, this whole candy bar here, this whole candy bar here. And when I moved this piece into this empty space, I ended up with another whole candy bar there, plus these leftover 2 pieces right here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 whole candy bars and 2 out of 12 pieces left over, or simplified into 1/6 of a candy bar.